All right. Thank you for coming out, Noah.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right. Before we continue, I just want to have your verbal consent that I'm allowed to film you and that I can show it to my English professor.
100% down.
All right. Thank you. All right. So, to start off, I'm going to be talking to you about wrestling or asking you some questions about wrestling.
It's one of my favorite things.
All right. And so the first question I got for you is, how did you first get into wrestling?
When I first got into wrestling, all right, I liked action figures, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I used to collect little tiny action figures and make armies of all my action figures.
Yeah.
And then one day I was going through my my closet and I found a John Cena action figure. I was like, that's pretty cool, right? And then my grandmother gave me a WWE Triple H action figure on my birthday when I turned 6 at Texas Roadhouse. And then I started watching it because I was like, where's this guy from? Triple H? So I looked it up and we watched it during Christmas because I remember the first match I ever watched was a Battle Royale. It was a 40-minute Battle Royale and Santa won. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay.
That's how I got into wrestling.
All right. And do you see yourself being a lifelong wrestling fan, or how long do you see yourself in the
I've
future?
always thought that I'd stop being a wrestling fan because it's very niche and I think it's kind of silly to some other people. So I thought I would taper off from being a wrestling fan because I didn't really watch it in like 2016, 2017, right?
Mhm.
Because I just thought it was very boring. But nowadays, I think wrestling's really cool. I don't usually go my way to tell people I'll be a wrestling fan, but I kind of have been a wrestling fan my
Okay.
whole life.
All
So
right.
I think I probably would continue to be one.
Okay.
And even when in that little period when I did taper off, I still kept up with it a little bit. I can never be fully gone.
Okay. All right. And another question I got for you: how has wrestling affected your social life? It's okay. Keep going.
I think it's I think honestly it's kind of hard to tell people that you're a wrestling fan sometimes because it's kind of really niche, especially it used to be really bad.
Yeah.
Nowadays I feel like a lot of people more get it.
Do you
'cause it's
feel
way
like
more in the,
social media has potentially?
I think social media. I think growing up has helped with that a lot too. But when I was like 14, if I told somebody that I like wrestling, they were like, "That's fake. That's
Okay.
stupid."
All right. Yeah, that's fair.
So I think it didn't really affect my social life because I didn't mind not talking about it, but I mean it wasn't something I'd bring up.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. And how has your friends getting more into wrestling affected you? Does this make you happy or not? Do you find it annoying?
I think it's great because I can finally talk to people and share my passion with
Yeah.
other people
Yeah.
who, even if they're not as interested in it as I am, I can still see that they enjoy parts of it, which is really exciting for me.
Okay. Yeah. And so just a general question: who are some of your favorite wrestlers, and what are your favorite events?
My favorite wrestlers are probably either CM Punk.
All right.
He's a pretty cool guy. I really like John Cena. He's been pretty cool. I'll hit you with a little niche one here. Sami Zayn. He's pretty cool.
Zayn, all
He's a
right.
pretty cool guy. And MJF. I think he's my favorite right now. And Will Ospreay.
All right. Here's another question for you. So, wrestling, TV wrestling, is that an okay term
Yeah.
for people to say it?
The proper term would be pro wrestling.
Pro wrestling. Sorry. So, what aspects of pro wrestling do you find most appealing? The feats of athleticism, the combat, or the storytelling?
You know, I really just like to see cool stuff. The story can be a very interesting part when it plays out, but I really like when I watch a match and I can just be sucked into that one match.
Okay.
Whether the story helps with that or not, I really just enjoy watching the action. And a good match to me is a match where I'm on the edge of my seat and I don't know what's going to happen next.
All right. And what are some of your favorite feats of athleticism or your favorite storylines that you could share with us, if you remember any? If you don't, that's.
I really liked the storyline between MJF and CM Punk,
Mhm.
and it was in a promotion called AEW, which is another big wrestling promotion on the level of WWE, but not quite. And MJF was
What does that stand for?
Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Okay.
His name's Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Okay.
Right. So ever since he was a kid, he liked CM Punk, right? And CM Punk, back before he was in WWE, was in Ring of Honor. And while he was there, he took a photo with MJF. And then while he was in Ring of Honor, that's when he did this really infamous promo. And then when MJF became old enough to wrestle and became a big star in AEW, when CM Punk showed up, MJF did the same promo that CM Punk did when he was little to CM Punk, and it worked. Like it made sense for the role switching,
Mm-hmm.
and it made a really good, compelling story because there was a bunch of turns and twists in it,
Mm-hmm.
and it ended with CM Punk going over and winning, which everybody likes a good ending.
Yeah. And another question to kind of build off of that: how have these storylines impacted your life, the way you view the world, almost?
I wouldn't say they necessarily really changed much about my world perspective, but if I see a pretty cool character, I could be like, that's literally me. Like when I see the Undertaker, I'm like, that's me.
All right. So there's a lot of history when it comes to wrestling, and like, what's your one of your favorite rivalries or feuds between two pro wrestlers?
One I really like recently is what we were just kind of talking about, CM Punk and MJF. That one's really good. They wrestled really well. Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay. Now even something as basic as like Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan, which are two really good things that happened. Or even the Shield, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose when they all separated.
All right.
Had a really compelling story.
Nice. So in recent years, women's wrestling has become more prominent on the different promotions. So how do you feel like change being implemented into wrestling? Because you almost turn that and like put it into your own life to be, more accepting of others or willing to, move on from like older traditions to newer ones.
Yeah, I think women being in wrestling has really I think women being in wrestling has really opened a lot of people's eyes to women being more of being capable of doing these things that men can do and doing it in their own way. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
I think it's been very cool and inspiring. I know it's been cool to see the rise of women in wrestling, especially with my little sister.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we watch wrestling, she really likes Bianca Belair specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool to see a nice female role that isn't basically just focused on a woman's body, but focused on them like in them being a good wrestler and strong.
Yep.
Instead of just being objectified. And seeing my sister side with someone like that, it's really nice to know that my sister can enjoy what I enjoy without it being, hurt.
All right.
You feel me?
Yep. So I want to shift topics a little bit more over to the fandom. Your experience of being a fan. How does that shape the way you act, like with others? Like let's say hypothetically, you have a friend over, and guys like to wrestle. I'm not saying girls don't like to wrestle either. I'm saying I like to wrestle with my friends. Do you see yourself like imitating some moves that you see in wrestling? Almost
like a setup. I have a very similar experience with that. Where I did imitate something that I saw on TV.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very specific and recent example.
And if you don't mind me asking, how does that end? What was the outcome of you performing that act?
Well, I'll tell you this: it didn't go well, and my friend had to go behind Starbucks, which is code for the hospital. Wow, man. Yeah, it did not go well. I specifically, I'll tell you, we're already in deep enough with no need to play with you. No. I dislocated his arm. I gave him a cross arm breaker. I saw Alberto Del Rio perform on Dolph Ziggler in 2013 after WrestleMania 29 for the World Heavyweight Championship. I saw him hit the cross arm breaker while he was in a standing up position. I attempted the same thing on my buddy Ty. He was in a cast. That's how it went.
All right, you know what? That's understandable. And you know what? I think we're gonna wrap it up around here. I've got one final question that'll just envelop everything we've been talking about recently.
Yeah, of course.
So, how has wrestling, shaped you into the person you are? Like, do these like feats, seeing people overcome things and physically and storyline wise, does that almost inspire you to, in real life?
It does. One specific example was Daniel Bryan winning the WrestleMania 30. he won the WWE and World Heavyweight Championship when everyone doubted him, everyone in the company, but all the fans liked him. And the fact that he could just be treated like that, and then they'd still build him up, the fans would still be there for him,
Mhm.
and he got through it, and he won the big prize of the main event of WrestleMania. It's inspiring.
Mhm.
And it makes me thrive to want to do big things in my own personal life.
So you feel like, you know, you can take these and try to be a better person.
100%.
Okay. All right. Well, Dylan, I would like to thank you for your time.
Thank you for the interview.
No problem.